A while ago, I made a video about the PSP and just how awesome it was, and it also being the technology that was kind of ahead of its time. And for some unknown reason, I was talking about porn a lot in that video, but I don't know. But I mentioned its sequel, the PlayStation Vita, which I wasn't very nice towards, mainly because my experience with the Vita was more or less just an underwhelming nothingness, stating that the Vita was more designed for apps than games. But literally a month or two after that video, I was sorting out my room and stuff, and found a dusty old box containing a jailbroken PSP Go, a bottle of Jack Daniels, and the PS Vita. And not gonna lie, I wasn't thirsty enough for the Jack Daniels. Yes, I know, I'm not a man alcoholic. But I charged both the PSP Go and the Vita, and was surprised that they still had life. But I began to wonder as I remembered a comment from the said video stating that a modded Vita is, quote, ridiculously good, on top of the other comments defending the Vita due to my blanketed slander. But despite the curiosity, I still went with the PSP Go because it had the catalogs of games that I liked in a compact package, and I couldn't be asked to jailbreak the PS Vita. But after straining my hand on the PSP Go, cause that shit is hella tiny, which is surprising because I thought my hand would be used to tiny things. But not only that, I can't read the clock on it. You know, when you shut the case, I got a Casio F91W for that shit, okay? It's got numbers. I don't need like a pizza looking thing to tell me that it's daytime outside. So with the masculine urge of chasing nostalgia in a portable package, I decided to watch tutorials to break my Vita out of jail. And after doing that, I guess I owe an apology to the PlayStation Vita, but a half-assed one. I still think Sony's approach to the Vita was terrible, as they clearly created this expecting another lightning in the bottle impact that the PSP had, but because this bottle was hella empty, they just threw it into the ocean, discontinuing it in 2019, which, in fairness, isn't too bad considering its counterpart, the PlayStation TV, was discontinued like a year or two from its release. But metaphorically speaking, the fishes in the sea had no choice but take matters into their own hands and chase lightning with the bottle. And yes, by fishes I mean modders and also hackers, as they're really the hero behind this quote-unquote apology video. As the modded Vita changed my mind entirely due to various reasons. It allowed me to import music, actual Vita games, but also PSP games. There are other homebrews that do pique my interest, such as GTA San Andreas, Balatro, an N64 emulator, but I mainly just wanted to play PSP games as well as some of the Vita games. With Vita games, I was particularly surprised as they actually had a pretty decent lineup of games, from a remaster of Ninja Gaiden, God of War, and even Metal Gear Solid 3, and actually ran well despite some noticeable dips in frame rates. But also there are some games that require you to use the touch-sensitive backend as well as the touchscreen, like Uncharted, which isn't a big deal, but it can throw you off of playing a game, considering you're going out of the uniformed grip of just holding the Vita. I would comment on the awkwardness of actually controlling the thumbsticks, but that's primarily because I've converted to PC gaming for like the past 4 years, so, or as REM would put it, losing my religion. Yep, that's me in the corner. However, the full circle hell yeah moment was actually playing PSP games on this machine. But just the nostalgia of revisiting these classics like Prince of Persia, Splinter Cell, and the God of War sex minigames. But the thing that caught me off guard was that the PSP itself could run PS1 games. So considering the fact that I could run a PSP emulator on the Vita means that I could play PS1 games such as Silent Hill, Resident Evil 1 through 3, and Metal Gear Solid, on top of the fact that it already has a HD collection of Metal Gear Solid 2 and 3 on the Vita itself. So technically, as Willy Wonka would put it, I got Hideo Kojima in my pocket and a hat full of dreams. But the cherry on top of that for me was being able to play EVA games whilst listening to music. Like, yes, I had to download the tracks myself, but without the music, I wouldn't be as on board with modding the Vita as listening to Pony by Genuine plus playing God of War. God, I gotta stop talking about this God of War minigame. And on a random side note, the internet browser doesn't really work properly, at least for me, but I think I could say that Eminem would actually probably hate the Vita but you can still play the 50-cent game, G-Unit edition. But modding the Vita is what turned this serviceable hunk of plastic into a pretty good handheld console, but the only downside about this is that the whole Vita specs itself kind of feels like a pulled punch from Sony. Like, once after you mod it and start to have fun with it, you then realize it's merely just a one-up from what the PSP could do, as you can't really emulate like PS2 games unless if the game was ported to the Vita or to the Android, which someone could homebrew, as the Vita itself unfortunately doesn't really hold up on a technical level in comparison to my Samsung. Although there's a generation difference, but my phone can run the Dolphin emulator, which led to a night once where I just played Resident Evil 4 in a pub. But hey, at least my Vita doesn't let me get lost in brain rot. But it did let me get lost in whatever the hell Dead or Alive Extreme is. Like, they're playing volleyball. And that's it. I don't get it. Oh, it's boobs. But the mere process of jailbreaking to repurpose as well as improving a console with different homebrews that awesome people have created just felt good, and not gonna lie, made me feel like a hacker man or Tony Stark in a cave, even if I didn't actually code anything or hack anything or broke out of a freaking cave myself. Like, yeah, I got help from it, but I ain't gonna deny that. But it got me thinking about the Japanese philosophy of kintsugi, which is the literal art of repairing broken pottery with gold. But I also think it works as an optimistic outlook on fixing things as well as repurposing rather than just to discard. Although my Vita wasn't broken or counts as pottery, but I think the philosophy still stands, as I did repurpose it as opposed to throwing it at a fucking wall. And I guess I'm sorry that I was harsh on the Vita, but I'm more sorry that Sony stopped caring about the Vita and didn't develop it into something special within the handheld scene. I'm gonna say it, but some deadbeat dad situations happening here with saying. And yes, I did pretty much transform the Vita into my own personal Frankenstein monster that is far from its original identity, but in doing so, I kind of rebirthed it in my, you know, out of my mangina, I guess. I don't know. That's a weird way to put it. As to me, it's no longer the PlayStation Vita. It's the PSP 2 with 2 O's. And I don't know, maybe on a cold evening or a dull day, I'll bring it with me to just go back to simply just playing. All apologies, PS Vita. Thanks for watching, and have a good night.
Cool, what games you got on there?
This plays games?
Yeah, what do you use it for?
Porn!
It does that?
Yeah!